Hi, I'm Megan from Excel at Home, and I'm here to do my first ever video tutorial, which I'm kind of excited about. But we're doing something pretty simple today. I'm going to be talking today about freeze panes and filters, which I'm going to be using and showing you in the context of my Christmas card list, which I have posted on my blog. But really, these are very applicable, very universal tools that you can use for a lot of different situations. So let's go ahead and dive right in. Here's a sample version of my Christmas card list. I went and pulled a bunch of random names and addresses, so these are fake people, fake addresses. Please do not try to contact them, but they are going to be helpful for our tutorial today. So the first thing that I'm going to do is freeze the panes. Notice that when I scroll, I've lost my headings. And same thing if I scroll over to the right, I've lost all my names, which makes it really hard as the years go by to figure out, wait, who am I looking at and what year? It's just all the information gets lost. So I use a bunch of keyboard shortcuts. So this one is Control Home. Will get you to the top of your spreadsheet. You don't have to use these shortcuts, just so you know what I'm doing as I jump around. So again, Control Home took me to the top of my spreadsheet. And if I go up here to View, there's Freeze Panes. And underneath freeze panes, there are three options. You can freeze the top row, or you can freeze the first column. But really, if you look at our spreadsheet, that's not going to be helpful here because I have my headings take up the first three rows. And personally, I'd like to have both first name and last name when I'm scrolling. It's possible that I've got people with the same first name, and I want to make sure I'm looking at the right one. So that means that this cell is where I want to scroll from. And I'm going to go ahead and click in that. And now when I go to freeze panes, I click this first option. And you might have been able to see the lines here get darker, like where it has frozen the panes. But where you really see it is when you scroll. And that you still maintain all those headings. And if I scroll over to the right, my names have not moved. And that's really what I'm looking for here. Again, you can freeze panes however you want, but if you want to have a specific location, just make sure you click in the first cell that you want to move. That's where you're going to go from. The next thing I want to do is apply filters. So again, in this Christmas card list, I've got a list of, all of my contacts, but I'm not going to send a Christmas card to everyone. I've marked who I'm planning on sending a card to. Again, these are fake names, so please don't send anything to these people. And I want to be able to filter and just look at the people that I'm sending to. So in order to do that, I'm going to go ahead and apply a filter. Filters are up here under Data, and there's this nice big button, Filter. Okay, Excel sometimes is really dumb. So I was clicked down into this cell, and I said Filter, and it put a filter right there. So you have to, I don't know why it can't always tell where your data is, but it can't. So I'm going to unclick that. And you need to tell it exactly what data you want to keep. So again, I'm going to use a shortcut here. I'm going to hold down Control and Shift, and I'm going to hit the right arrow, and it goes all the way to the end of my data set of where I've got cells filled in. And same thing, if I hold Control Shift and press down, it highlights all my data. So this is what I want to include in the filter. And now I can click on it. And you see, I put the arrows exactly where I want them to be. So now I can say, all right, here are the 49 people that I'm sending a list to. Super easy. Now filters, what I like about filters is you don't have to only apply a filter to one column. That's why we've got all of these columns. And now I don't know why you'd ever want to do this, but let me just show you a little bit of what you can do here. I could select a bunch of names. Again, I'm making up names. And I only care about the people who live in Alabama. Oop, Alabama. Ta-da! Or I could go the other way around. and I don't care about those people in Alabama, and then I only care about the people I'm sending cards to. You can apply as many filters on this data as you want. It's super easy. It'll just keep filtering down your records. And as long as your data set is not too big, it's going to put a little number here. So you've got 3 out of 100 records that you have filtered to. And then when you're all done and you want to get back to your original data set, you click this little clear button and it clears all of your filters, which is nice so you don't have to like go searching through and like, wait, which data fields have I put a filter on? You don't have to remember it. You can just hit clear and they all go away. You can sort your data using a filter. Notice that it will say sort A to Z or Z to A. Personally, I don't like doing that. I find that once you've sorted your data using a filter, it's hard to get back. And if you want to sort like more than one column, so before I did this, I used the sort function here to sort by last name and then by first name, and you can apply that layered sorting. You can't do that with filters. Sometimes it's helpful. Just be careful when you're doing it. The last thing I want to talk about with filters and this tutorial is why I have this little empty column sitting out here. Again, sometimes Excel is smart and sometimes it's not. Let's pretend I'm going to hit Control down, go to the bottom of my spreadsheet. I want to add a new person. Got someone new. And I'm going to make up an address. Sure, they live on Iowa Avenue as well. That's all I really need for this. Now, if I click into my filter here, dun dun dun, there's my new person. They're already in the list. Excel was able to tell that I added a new record to the bottom, and so it automatically included them in my list. But if I go the other way around, I want to add some new columns. So I want to take these entire 2 columns, because I'm going to add another year. I've been using the spreadsheet for several years. And I just did a copy paste there. Now my first column has a filter on it because that one was already part of the filter, but my received does not. It wasn't smart enough to realize that, oh, that was part of your data and you want it to be included. So what I do instead is I put this empty column and I make sure that it's included in the filter. Then you can copy, again, you want to copy the entire column. You come up to the top and make sure that you highlight everything. And then you right click and say Insert, and then you can change this to 2021. And it's already included in the filter. So you can insert columns within the filter, and you can add rows to the bottom, but just trying to copy columns off to the right, it's not going to work. So just make sure you're careful with that. That's why, again, you're going to see this empty column in my spreadsheet. That's what it's there for. It's so that you can maintain that filter without having to highlight your data and taking it back out again. So those are some of my little tips and tricks with filters. Again, they can be really super useful. And in my next tutorial, I'm going to be talking about doing a mail merge. And we're going to use this filter in order to get just the people we're going to send Christmas cards to. And we're going to do a mail merge and print out the labels so that we don't have to write them. Please feel free to leave me comments or questions, anything else you might like to see or that's confusing to you. And be sure to check my blog for any other posts or tutorials. Thanks.